let's go to the next question. One of the biggest concerns with COVID-19 has to do with face coverings. Mrs. Bostic, what are the requirements regarding face coverings?
So under Governor Herbert's mandate, all students, staff, and visitors will be required to wear a face covering. This face covering can be a mask or a gaiter. We are asking parents to provide face coverings for their children, but if the student loses or forgets his or her face covering, one will be provided for them. Face shields may only be worn without a face mask when the ability to see the mouth is essential for communication, including for an individual who is deaf or hard of hearing or while participating in speech therapy.
Thank you. Mr. Guyman, will there be any exceptions to the face covering directive?
A couple things. One that I wanted to add to what Mrs. Bostic said, as one thing the governor did address is for young learners, if they're learning basic reading skills, a face shield may be appropriate and needed to help there. But also, if a student has a health-related need or disability-related need or exceptional circumstance, there is a form available in each school that a parent can obtain that's signed by both the parent and the healthcare or licensed mental health provider to document what that need is that allows them to not use a face covering while at school.
Thank you, Mr. Guyman. And those exemption forms will be at each of the schools around the district. Next question, Mr. Philstead. For us to wear face coverings at school, is it a law? And what if a student does not qualify for an exemption, refuses to wear a face covering?
So that's a good question. The face coverings are a requirement, a temporary measure while we wait for the vaccine to be developed. Masks are our medicine for right now. They have the best chance of stopping the spread of respiratory output from one person to another. And it must be remembered, we must remember that this is an order and it has the same authority and force as a law during this time it is enacted. The order requires all students, staff, and visitors to wear masks, even if they are in attendance to a sporting event. As face coverings are required, if a student does not follow one of the outlined, if the student does not qualify for one of the outlined exemptions, it is assumed the student would not be allowed on the bus or to be physically present in school. This exclusion will last until the public health order expires or the student decides to begin wearing a face covering in school.
Thank you. This is a critical element of our face covering guidelines, I think. When we're asking, and I know I have great confidence in our school administrators, they're going to do everything that they can to help resolve any concerns with face covering issues. Students aren't required to wear those masks, but we want you to communicate with the school principal and teachers so that we can resolve those conflicts. Now, Mr. Forsyth, you are a former band teacher. How do you foresee face coverings working for elective classes like music, art, shop class, and PE?
Sure. Excuse me. Most teachers that teach elective classes have multiple spaces of different sizes. So, for example, in the band classes or choir classes, the students may start in the band room or the choir room and then move to the auditorium where they can obviously space out more and they can adjust their face coverings and those things while they're doing. Band obviously is going to need to remove face coverings while they play their instruments, but while the teacher's instructing or giving a lesson, those face coverings can be worn. Shop teachers, they have classrooms and they have a shop, and so they'll be in a little closer quarters while they're in the shop, and then move to the classroom. Then they can move to the shop where they're a little more spread out. And then PE teachers may choose to take the class outside or go to the gym, and then we'll maintain social distancing when it's possible, and if it's not, we'll just make sure that they're following face covering guidelines. And classroom seating charts are going to be extremely important. And as I mentioned earlier with the contact tracing, we're going to need to have seating charts so that we can trace those students and know who had close contact with those students.
Thank you. Next question has to do with transportation, and I'll answer that. The question reads, will the students who ride the bus be required to wear face coverings? Yes, students will be required to wear face coverings on the bus, especially because when the bus starts to fill up, true social distancing will be difficult to achieve. So we have a few things that we're asking our drivers and our students to do. Our drivers will be wearing face coverings and gloves. They will also maintain a seating chart. Drivers will also ask students to sit in proximity with family members. So we want family siblings to sit together in close proximity on the bus. The seating chart and the familial seating assignments will help with contact tracing. The face covering exemption form also applies to the bus as well, and as well as school, and will be valid through the efforts of the family and school principal. All right. So in summary, we are asking students to wear face coverings at school and on the bus. If the student loses or forgets his or her mask, one will be provided. An exemption form is available for qualifying and unique health concerns. Parents whose children have IEPs, 504s, or health care plans, please speak with your child's SPED teacher or the school principal. We do remind students and parents that school dress codes are still in force, having to do with logo or decoration use on face coverings. And as I mentioned before, administrators are going to do everything they can to help resolve concerns, and please speak with them as we begin the school year.